everyone. Welcome back to the Commentary Zone. I'm Jamal, and I will be doing a Project Runway recap review. If you haven't done so already, please hit the thumbs up, share this, and subscribe if you like to hear about these reality TV shows. So, today we are doing Project Runway, episodes 3 and 4. We're going to start with episode 3. So, I'm going to wait for a few more people to get in the room and then we'll get started. I hope everyone's having a happy Friday. Hope it's relaxed and chill. Hey, Gabba Gabba. Hey, Stephen Crisco. Hey, Trey. Welcome. All right. All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna start off with episode three, season 19, episode 3. The challenge is if you got it, haunted. So they start out and they visit an old haunted house, which I thought was pretty cool. They got to look around, get inspiration, but they also wound up spending the night at the haunted house, which I was like, you know what? Since I'm with a bunch of other people, I'm good. I could have done it, but it had been me and maybe like three others. Now we'd have to go. So, they get their challenge, and their challenge is to actually make a higher end ball gown, but in more of a haunting style. Like, it shouldn't be pretty, like super pretty, but should be more haunting, something maybe you see in a horror movie, something along that vein. I thought it was a very interesting challenge. I don't think I've seen this challenge before. Now, I'm gonna go to pretty much the workroom area part of the show. So, the main thing I took away from Christian's overall notes were like he was surprised no one was really doing color. And that kind of disappointed him because people tend to drift towards the blacks, the whites, the grays. He was hoping to see something a little bit a more modern take on the haunting, like something like Darren did, and we'll get to that. Darren did a red, and I was very happy to see that because I really thought that as Project Runway has gone on, people need to take more risks, and that with big risks are big rewards. So I'm good, happy to see Darren's using red. So now some of the designers I want to talk about. So Anna was very confident that this challenge fits her aesthetic, and I agreed with that. I thought she would do very well. Darren was really struggling with his confidence. He's speaking to Christian about that, how he felt like, he's been flopping everywhere. He doesn't really feel like he fits in. And I can kind of see this. He just doesn't seem to be able to focus and stick to an idea and just flush it out. And that's been his main problem, in my opinion. Now, when Kenneth got the fabric, I was concerned. And then when he got to the workroom and Chris just you chose this, he thought it's very hard to sew. Like, is it very ambitious? But okay, make it work. Now on to Zayden. Now Zayden, like Kenneth made a poor fabric choice in my opinion because the fabric he chose has no give to it. It has no stretch. So the model's gonna have a very hard time walking in this gown, and it shows every single flaw, which is terrible, especially if you are in a rush and you can't do the construction the way you want it and have it perfect. Now, with Bones' dress, the main issue was the gold and the mask. Now, with the gold, I think the gold could have worked, but you combine it with the mask, and the mask was like was a whole lot. It was a whole lot of just thrown on embellishments, which was a problem as well. Coral, the fabric that she used was given by her deceased aunt, and I was like, this is cool. I'm glad she was able to use that, and her aunt could be a part of her journey. Now, Katie's issue, which was I spoke about, I believe, on the last recap review, that she's struggling to fit her aesthetic into the challenge, and with this comes a blow to her confidence, and I think this is going to be an ongoing thing for her. Now, in the top, we had Anna, Octavio, uh, and Chastity, I think it was. Those were the three. These were actually the three that I chose. Now, I had Anna as the winner personally, but I could see why they went with Chastity. So I was happy that Chastity went from the bottom to the top. It was great to see. Now we're gonna go on to the bottom. Now before I go to the bottom, I'm gonna check out the comments, see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Watch the show, Steven. All right, perfect. You guys are chatting amongst yourselves, no problem. So now I'm gonna go to the bottom. Now with Zayton, as we talked about in the Christian point out in the workroom, the mom was gonna have walk issues. She did. He actually had to like cut out part of the gown. I want to say it was the underskirt, like the underskirt, because when mom was walking, she's supposed to be able to kick and see the black tulle underneath. He had to take that out in order for her to walk. The fabric, again, the judges touched on the fabric issue. The fabric had no stretch and it was such a bright color. Everything showed. So when the mom was walking, you could see like the fabric kind of like wrinkling, crumpling. But when she was standing still, it was nice. Kenneth had front construction issues and the proportion was off. Again, this goes back to poor fabric choice. Like, I think Tim Gunn used to say this. Typically, when the designers make their mistakes, they make their mistakes at mood. And that's where they get their fabric and their embellishments, buttons, zippers. So everything starts at mood. And I think he was a victim of his fabric. Bones, they felt he needed editing. He had too many ideas. Plus, the mask was too much. For me, I did not mind Bones' dress. Editing, okay, but I think what happened was with the gold over the dress, it had to be perfect, and it wasn't. So you saw all of the the unfinishings and things of that nature. I think it had he finished the garment properly, I don't think he would have been in the bottom. And for honorable mentions, there was Katie. She pulled it together, but she needs to get a handle on her aesthetic, or she won't last too much longer. And she's a really talented designer. Darren, I thought his red dress was great. I actually had Darren really close to the top, so it was good to see him bounce back and have a comeback week. Now, as I said, Chastity was the winner of this challenge, and Kenneth went home. Kenneth wound up going home, and I agree with Kenneth going home because he has had a couple of chances and he hasn't progressed forward. So I think this is his time to go. I agree with that. All right, before I go on to last night's episode 4, let me check out the comments real quick. Let's see. Tracy said, I love Coral's black lace. Yes, it was very, very nice. Coral and the Winnie look were my favorites. I'm going to say Anna and Chastity were my favorites. I have to say that. I mean, Anna just killed it. Chastity, she did the thing. So I was happy. Tracy says, yes, I agree. Christian kept trying to tell him too. He was hard headed. Yes, exactly. They're not. The one thing I'm struggling with this group of designers, and we've seen it with Tim Gunn as well. They do not listen to the mentor. I'm like, do you guys not have you guys not watched Project Runway in the past? These current designers, because I used to think that God, just listen to Tim. Just listen to Tim because everything Tim would say in the work role would come back on the runway. I'm like, why didn't you listen? And then when they wouldn't listen, they would even say on the runway, well, Tim told me not to do that. And they're looking at them like, why didn't you listen? Why did you not listen? And it just comes back to bite them. That mask from Darren. Yeah, I think that's I think the mask from Darren is what kept him from the top, honestly. Bones mask was a hot mess too. Bring back week 1 Bones. Here's what happened with Bones. Bones started feeling himself, and that's a problem in Project Runway. You can't get too comfortable. Oops, so sorry guys. And Tracy says yes, Anna was amazing too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know how I feel about Anna. So now I'm gonna move on to episode 4. Now episode 4 is Flower Power, and they had to make their own floral prints. This When they do these print challenges, I always worry that the prints won't come out the way they want to, and some of them did have print issues. So the notes I took from Christian is this: Christina, Katie, and Darren, they need to push themselves design wise. They need to stop playing it so safe. Now, the next note I have is for Sabrina. Christian wanted to know why the skirt. Did she need the skirt? And I agreed. I agreed with him. And as far as the workroom, they're all working with their prints. They're trying to make it work. This was a very, for me, what has we have watched Project Runway for a couple of years. This seemed to be like a fairly straightforward, not too many issues type of workroom. They're mostly working on their design, the prints. What we expect. Now, Katie and Parjay are the ones who had print issues. Now, Katie's background didn't come out the way she wanted. It was I want to say what she said was too purple, so that kind of threw her off. But she did the best she could. And Parjay, his print, I can't remember exactly what was wrong with the print, but it didn't come out the way he wanted to. So he was going to paint over it, but he didn't, and it was a good thing he didn't. So we move on to the runway. Now, I had in my top three, I had Anna, Coral, and Parjay. I got one of the three right, which is Parjay. So the actual top three were Parjay, Christina, and Chantel. Now Christina did push herself. I did like her garment. Everything looked really good. I was worried about the kimono type thing, but it worked in her favor, and I'm super happy about that. And Parjay, I mean, to me, it was really close between him and Chantel. Parjay, I felt killed. The dress, the fit was on point. The the his print just looked so good on his model. I'm like, you did the thing. I wasn't even looking really at the print personally. I was looking at the color, and the model and the fit of that dress. He did a fantastic job. Now on to our winner, Chantel. Now, love the outfit. She did three pieces, three excellent pieces, three pieces that can be sold by themselves. But her flower print did not come through the way the others did. And I was like, I can see it, but I just wish the print itself was the flowers were bolder and could more encompass the challenge. But she did. I mean, you can't knock her for her tailoring, the pieces, the presentation, everything. Killed it. I think um, it was a toss up between Chantel and Project. I would have been okay with either winner. Please give me a moment to check the chat. Tracy's like, bring Bones back. Speaking of Bones, that reveal moment was lackluster at best. I'm so glad Parjay. Yeah, he took a lot because he was doing bows and whistles and capes and whatever. Yeah, good job. Trey, love the three-piece suit. Yep, but the tailoring was fantastic. Yep, but hated that print. I did not hate the print. What I did not like is the fact that the flowers did not come through, which is the focal point of the challenge. So now we're gonna move on to the bottom three. Now, for my bottom three, I had Bones, Katie, and Chastity. Even though Chastity had immunity, she should have been down there because even she's on the road, she's like, "Y'all, I need a whole another hour." Oh, and she was so happy for her immunity, and I was happy for her. I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna have a slip up, immunity is a good time to do it. So I had Bones, Katie, and Chastity, but the bottom three turned out to be Katie, Darren, and Sabrina. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So we're gonna start with Katie. Katie ran out of time and fabric, and like I stated before, she's suffering with a lack of confidence. She's got to find her voice. She's got to trust her voice because she knows her voice. The voice is in her clothes. It's in her. We can see it on her Instagram. She has the talent. She can do this. She needs to just go with her gut, and I'm glad the judges told her that because while her look was lackluster, they loved what she was wearing, and that's a sign. That to me, that's a sign of talent and you got this. I didn't like the fact that she tried to throw Christian under the bus, and they told her like, no, 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 Christian is not on this runway. You are, so do not bring him into this. Brandon told her a good piece of advice. It is your job as a designer to take the critique and take the advice and make it work for you. And that's exactly right. And I hope she takes that to heart and understands she's there for a reason. Now, Sabrina was a victim of styling and that skirt that Christian warned her about. He asked her before she went on runway, "Do you need this skirt?" And she was like, "Well, I just don't want to be like offending anyone." And me personally, without the skirt, I didn't see anybody being offended. I wasn't offended. So, but she left that skirt on, and she's in the bottom. What's interesting is when Gigi and the judges are like, can we see without the skirt? They're like, oh my god, so much better. And they told her, had you just taken that skirt off and put her in some flats, this would have been phenomenal. You would have been in the top. And this goes to show again, designers, it's good to listen to your voice and stick to your guns, but sometimes when you just add something for the sake of adding something, and then the mentor tells you like, hey, you don't need that, or they question why you need that, really take a step back and look at it as a whole and don't get so stuck. I think it was Coco Chanel who said back in the day, before you leave the house, look in the mirror and take one thing off. And I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Let's see what you guys are saying. I like Coral's look too. All right. Now, the last person in the bottom is Darren. Darren just had design issues. I mean, again, he's all over the place. He was going with this uh, SpongeBob SquarePants look. It translated, but it looked very junior in my opinion. And he did another circle skirt, which Aaron pointed out while he was in the room with the other designers. Like he's like, I really love Darren, but this is like the third time he's done a circle skirt. And he was one of the designers Christian said needed to challenge himself. Like Katie, Darren suffers from a lack of confidence. But unlike Katie, Katie has the talent to be original, and because her style is completely out the box, Darren's isn't, and that's where he's struggling. So again, it was Katie, Sabrina, and Darren in the bottom, and they sent Darren home. I completely agree with this because he's had a multitude of chances. Like the first challenge, he didn't even make the garment. The second challenge, there were taste design issues. The third challenge, he was safe, even though he was really close to the top, in my opinion. And this is the third, pretty much the third flop in four challenges. So it was his time to go. It really was. And I really hope he uses his experience to push himself forward, learn from it. Just really look at these challenges and really look at himself in a with a critical eye, and really see where he can go. Because I really feel the talent is there. It's just he's young and he hasn't really found his voice. He hasn't settled on the aesthetic yet, and that's okay. It's really okay. Kudos to the judges. I really feel they've been making the right calls to send the right people home. They're not holding on to people now in terms of hope. They're almost at season 20, and I think they've gotten to the point where you pretty much have like maybe two chances and then you're out. And Darren, it was Darren's time. So let me look at the chat. Not a fan of Kay's aesthetic at all. Yeah, it's quirky. It's different. Trey, I think with her aesthetic, the main issue with her aesthetic is this: she pretty much has to be perfect construction wise for her aesthetic to really sing. If it's off, it makes no sense and it's not appealing. So I understand where you're coming from. I'm literally still watching episode 4. My only comment so far is Aaron's looks like Carol Burnett or Mrs. Roper right now. Yeah, I kind of got that. It gave me very Partridge Family vibes, and I don't know why. And Darren's colors, love, looks like the new Buff on Survivor. Oh my goodness. Well, everyone, that is Project Runway, Season 19, Episode 3. If you, let me double check the title. Episode 3 was If You Got It Haunted. And this is also Project Runway Season 19, Episode 4, Flower Power. Thank you for joining me for this quick recap and review. I totally appreciate you. Again, if you enjoy the content, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And I will see you next Friday with episode 5. Have a wonderful day. Bye.